Friends, today is Thursday, the 13th of August, and we're back in the cathedral and the light streaming through the east. A beautiful day today, a perfect summer day, kind of cool, but sunny as well. And once again, another challenging gospel. The Gospel of Matthew is truly a challenging gospel, and each day we are challenged further and further. Yesterday's gospel was on fraternal correction, and being humble enough to accept that correction. When that correction is refused, we have a new situation. When that correction is refused, we have a new situation. Forgiving someone who has harmed or offended us. And what if that person continues to harm or offend us? How often must we forgive him or her? How often must we forgive? That's the question that Jesus addresses today. Peter brings the question to Jesus, Lord, if my brother sins against me, how often must I forgive him? And the response of Jesus is every time. Every time. We ask ourselves if that is possible or whether it's realistic. And each person has to make that response. No doubt all of us have some person or persons in our life that we find very difficult to forgive. And that's what this gospel is about. The necessity of forgiving. And that necessity of constant forgiveness is made easier, of course, if the person asks for forgiveness. If they ask for forgiveness. But so often that's not the case. And perhaps that's the reason even for this gospel. To try to forgive when a person doesn't even recognize that any offense has been taken or that they have hurt someone, and to admit it, and they don't. And so, of course, we can't change them. We can only change ourselves. And we have to do something. If they won't, then we must. And you know, forgiveness is like love itself. Forgiveness is not an attitude, it's an action. Love is not an attitude, it's an action. We do something, we show it. And forgiveness is the same. It's an action in which we continually move closer and closer to the person who has hurt us or offended us, never giving up, moving towards that person in reconciliation. Reconciliation, of course, means that two opposing sides come together, they reconcile. And if the other person won't do it, there's only you and me left to do it. And we need to. That's the message, the difficult message of the gospel. And how often? Well, Jesus is pretty clear about that. We have to keep forgiving. There's no limit. There's no limit to it. And our model, of course, is Jesus himself. Jesus who from the cross said, Father, forgive them, Father, forgive them. His executioners, his torturers, Father, forgive them. And not just them in that time and place, but all time and all places. That Jesus went to the cross for the forgiveness of sins for us. And so Jesus is the model. Forgive them. Father, forgive them. We're called to a very high standard here, a very high standard of mercy. We have been forgiven much, and we have to do the same. And at the very least, we have to pray for those who have hurt us. Pray for those who have hurt us, and at least wish them no harm. How often do we think of revenge? All thoughts of revenge we must let go of. Pray for them, do no harm, forgive. Hold that thought, and we'll see you tomorrow.